workshop. So if you have questions, I will run it almost like a handling class, I guess, just because everybody is at a different level and experience level, and I don't want to be too preachy. So
this is Handling Workshop 101, presenter Tim Terella.
All
right, everybody, bring your dogs in.
Order doesn't matter. Just hop on in. All right, what we're gonna do is I'm just gonna have you guys go one at a time around to get comfortable in here, get them comfortable in here, and then just come back to here. Yeah. Okay. Okay. All right, number one, I'll say everybody was absolutely perfect on their speed. That is my biggest pet peeve in Siberian Husky handling, and you can watch it day in and day out all over the country, all over the world. You see videos all over other parts of the world of people showing dogs, especially Siberians, and they are racing them 1,000 miles an hour. And they think that that's showing off movement. All it's doing is showing how fast you can run. The Siberians should be easy on their feet and quick and light, and the faster you go, you're not going to be able to see foot timing, or you're going to create your dog to go too fast for its own structure, and they'll overreach. You're going to break gait, all that kind of stuff. So you guys were all perfect speed for the breed, so that was wonderful. I thought leash positions were all really good. Everybody was attempting a loose lead. Ultimately, we all want them to be on a nice, easy, loose lead. Not all of them want to cooperate with that. So you try to do it the best you can with maintaining control of the dog. We all pretty much did good on that, so that was good. So next, what we'll just do is, I guess I'll just have you one at a time stack the dog up, and I'll watch you stack the dog, and we'll go from there. So, and what I'll do is, I'll kind of tell you as you're doing it what I would change on what you're doing, not to critique you negatively, but I think if I'm saying I would do this or I would do that, it would help learn, other people can pick something up from that. Okay, that was overall really good. Oh, you're fixing it. She had the rear a little bit overstretched. Probably could also be because it was slippery carpet. You gotta watch with that sometimes. A lot of times I'll use, you just take a spray bottle of water with you and spray the bottom of their feet. Right before you go to your exam, and they won't slide as much on the carpet. But you want the dog to be appropriately strapped. You want to show off a level top line, and you want to show off balanced angulation. And so she has the dog nicely set up. You want to drop a plumb line from the withers to the ground, and you want to see that in the straight line, showing that shoulder back underneath the body. And the same with the rear. You want to be able to drop a plumb line from the front of the hip to the ground, and you want that hock to be completely perpendicular to the ground. You don't want it angled, you don't want it under themselves, and you want to show off a nice level top line. So, that was good. We'll just do it down and back. Good. Good. That was a nice appropriate speed. Nitpicky. The dog bumped into her a little bit going away. He was gate off a smidge. A lot of times that's just focus for the dog. They're going to do that. But other than that, the speed was perfect. Came back and presented the dog appropriately. You want to show. Part of this is knowing your dog's faults and your dog's positives. If you have a really beautiful, correct head for the breed and a nice front, and you come back to the judge, you want to show that head in the front, especially if they stop nicely. This dog stopped wonderful on his front. And so you want to, show that off. You don't want them, if they're off in the front, maybe they're a little shallow in the forechest, so they're a little bit easty-westy or whatnot. You don't want to show that off. So you would turn the dog to its side and try to show the silhouette. Try to show an attribute to your dog. Don't show what you don't want the dog that the judge to see. That's what we're trying to hide is a hand. Because not every dog is perfect, so they all have something better than the next dog. So, okay, all right. Excellent speed. The dog looks very nice. Great. All right. Yep. That's okay. That's okay. That's fine.
If I start fiddling with my hand,
Yeah.
right, then he does all kinds of things. So I've been working on getting him to walk to a stack.
Sure.
He's also a nervous dog. That's okay. Great. Yeah. Great.
What I want you to try first, I'm going to walk away. What I want you to try first, try setting it up yourself. And let me see, maybe I can get tips from that. You had him set up nice. That looked good. It's just approach for me. side gate real nice and wants to fly around, they go too fast at the beginning. They start off like a out of a cannon, and you don't want that. You want to ease into your speed around the ring. So I always, if you watch me show my dogs, I'm doing a very easy courtesy turn, and I get the dog collected before I head into my my gate. And then as I'm going and I'm feeling that the dog is comfortable and showing well and moving well, then I can pick up speed a little bit. And that ends to be, it looks more collected. You're not, doesn't look like you're racing around the ring. And that, and she did a really nice job with that. She started to roll off real quick. So what I would do with him is I would bring his front back underneath him a little bit more. He's what we call posting. It's when their front is out forward of where their shoulders come down, and they kind of looks like they're leaning back. So it's just one thing to kind of make to look for. Bored. All right. So the other thing I will say is we get excited about how perfect they need to be in the ring. Where the dogs go, we want them to perform. We see the Doberman standing there like statues, and we want them to do the Doberman and show off like that. They don't, or at least 90% of them don't. They have their own ideas. And so if you stress and you're pressing and you're trying to make them be perfect the whole time, all it's going to do is make the dog go sour or bored, and then they're going to start fussing, and it's just going to get worse. And then you're moving the dog more, and the dog's moving more, and it turns into a fighting wrestling match over them standing perfectly still. If my dog moves on the exam, as long as it's behaving itself as far as not shying from the judge, I don't care. I don't care if it moves its back foot. I don't care if it moves its front leg. I'll just fix it as they're examining the dog. There's nothing wrong with that. And I really don't think a lot of judges really care about that. They're not as like rigid as one would think. They're like, oh, my dog moves, I lost. Don't worry about it. It's more of the dog's silhouette and how they're performing for our breed and others. So what I would do, just a little tune-up. You did good going away. Pick a spot. Go straight to that spot. You want the dog to be into that spot. So let's pick a spot on the floor. So right before you go, always look up. Take your time. You paid your entry fee. Just like every other exhibitor in there. So it's your turn. It is your time. Don't feel rushed, ever. They have to wait for you. Okay? So, take your time, do a courtesy turn. If you don't feel comfortable with the courtesy turn, you don't have to do a courtesy turn, but be aware of your ring. Look up, go in a straight line down and back, because if the dog's weaving, it can throw the gate off. And the same thing when you get down there. Do your turns, take your time, look back at the judge, make sure you're coming back at them in a straight line with the dog in front of them, not you. Okay? But that was it. Perfect. exactly it. So, I would say you started off a little bit too fast, and you picked up your speed, and because you started off too fast, by the time you got to where he was really gating, he had his head in the air and he was pulling it. So, again, take your time, start off easy, give him a correction, let him know you're there. If he goes into a pull mode right away, then he's going to be racing around as fast as he can. Just give him a correction before you go, and have him be aware you're there, and then just let him drop his head, and you're doing that. Better, much better. Excellent. That was perfect. That's a perfect speech right now. I wouldn't try to go any faster. You might want to, but I would try to work on that. I liked how you looked at me and made sure you came back in a straight line. That was really good. What I would do when you go away, he's pulling you a little bit, okay? So I would try to give him just a pop and release correction. Like as you got to go, if he starts to pull on you and you're feeling him pull you, just do a quick jerk like that to try and check him so he knows he shouldn't be doing it. So you can try again.
Mm.
Good. That was better. He was more with you on that. And so what I would do, and same thing, if you feel he's not paying attention and he's looking at the ground, instead of give him a quick pop. Just so he knows he's trying to do his own thing and look at things. So you want him focused on what you're doing. So, and that's really it. It's just getting us in on your page to not want him to be looking around. But that was very good. You did a nice pace, perfect speed, you had great lead length of lead. Good job. All right. There you go. Excellent. That was perfect. She snuck in. Sure. That's okay. That's what we're here for. Sure.
She's still
Yeah.
and if she starts to fuss, I'd rather just walk her into a snap.
Absolutely. You're going to get nowhere, especially in the ring, when they're not 100% ring ready. You're going to get nowhere by fighting them. So I'd rather have them kind of stand natural on their own. And so like if you get a dog and you're in the ring and they're fighting you, and they're fussing with you, and they're not letting you stack them, and they're just having a bad day. It is better to just walk into a free bait, let them stand naturally, and not keep fighting with them. Work on that afterwards, outside the ring, at home. Keep practicing on the stack, touching their feet, all that kind of stuff, continuously to desensitize them from you doing it and making them, you want to make them think it's their idea. To try to find a fun way for them to learn to stand.
And sometimes I find just keeping the hand on the bar
Right.
position rather than because
Oh, for sure. Absolutely.
She might be reacting to that.
But I don't a ton of times
Absolutely.
when I self-stack her,
Right.
I'm gonna have to be like, okay, she's not gonna let me touch her feet. But I'm gonna self-stack her as well as I can and then just leave it. She's gonna look better back.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And then her movement hopefully will be
100%. 100%.
Redeeming, yeah.
At that point, if they're going to be fussy, I'd rather, like she walked into it fine there,
Right.
okay? As the judge, I can see she's being difficult. So most judges, I would think, would understand that is part of a Siberian Husky, and they're going to be lenient on that. And so the dog walked on its own, which is a tribute to its own anatomy, that it's standing naturally itself, and you're not forcing a stack on it. Because you can take a dog that has an off front and you can hand screw it in and make it look good. This dog is doing it naturally. So I'd rather see her stand on her own than to have you fighting her.
Okay. Well, we have to work on the hand stack a little bit.
And that's what you're doing right there is a really good thing to do. Holding her with her hand. Keeping another hand on the dog, especially when you get her stacked, and she'll let you hand stack her. It just gives an extra point of assurance that you're there, and that she's not being afraid, she's just being obstinate. But it's just giving a more of a like, mom's still there, and I'm not fighting right here. And so you could just kind of keep. I use my knees sometimes, but just have an extra.
Touch.
Yes, an extra touch on the dog. Yeah, and the more you do it,
Yeah.
being a redneck.
Hey.
Absolutely.
Down and back.
Go fast.
So she's just all over. She's being distracted. So she's looking up, she's looking outside the ring, she's looking everywhere, and it's throwing her gait off. I would try it again, get down and back, have your hand away from her completely.
Okay.
Don't let her see it and don't look at her.
Okay.
You go and do your turn, and you pick your spot, and you keep control. She's not ready for a loose lead, so keep a little tension, and kind of just direct her straight. And don't look at her, because she's looking up for you with the food, looking up for the ring. So if she starts to look, give her a quick correction. Okay? Try that. Right. Number 3. That was much better. It was much better. Came in straight. Now what I would do, I would try a little tighter lead. Okay? But when there's play in it with her, like when you loosen it up a little bit, when there's play in that leash, she starts wandering. Just keep it tense. Keep it tense. I mean, I'm stringing her up, but keep tension the whole way. You're steering.
Yeah.
Okay?
Piloting her. That's what I call it. As Trish called it.
Right. And if you feel her looking, give her a correction.
There we go.
That's perfect. There you go. There you go. Perfect. Much better. Perfect. Yep. Slow her down.
It came naturally that you slowed down.
Perfect speed. That was Coming back, the front was very true to the judge. The first time it was all over, it was just looking like this. So that's what she's just mentally not ready to have the full reins of the dog show.
Okay.
So now same thing going around. Start easy on the side, just nice and easy. Everything you do. Perfect. Perfect. There's no reason for you going faster. I would stretch her rear a little bit more. She's got her hocks are underneath her. Same on both sides. Yep. There you go. Perfect. Yep, that's more perpendicular up and down. That's better. She's looking a little funny. Always keep both hands on the head of the judge's exam. No, it's okay. Keep being serious. Okay, this is a perfect thing I like to talk about. That was good. That was excellent. Okay? What you want to do, any breed of dog you're showing, from the nose to the tail is connected. Straight line. If you're on a stack and the judge is examining the dog and the dog is looking to the left or looking to the right, it's going to shift their spine and their weight, and they're going to move. That's just natural for them. So you want to keep that, whether you're baiting your dog, whether you're just holding your dog's head, you want that nose facing the wall, and you want that tail to be completely facing the other end, keeping it straight so they don't shift their weight and go off balance, and you'll have more of a good step. That's good. That's perfect. We'll do it again. So when I'm going over the dog, I'll slide, I glide. Hold the head straight. See how she's keeping the head straight? Just even as I'm going over the dog, it's keeping that dog still. Now let her turn. See, as I turns her head, she sits, she turns. You want to keep it straight. They're all connected. Okay, cool. That's good. Right down there. That's perfect. I wanted to go over that.
That was good.
You want to try to not have a lot of leash dangling down, because sometimes you'll have the dog distracted, and sometimes you'll have the leash, the end of the leash will dangle into the dog's ear and it'll look like a leash. But that would speed, stop, and you look, came back, came in a perfect straight line. That was good. Now I would say when you're gating, the speed is the same, okay? But I would try to lengthen your stride a smidge. Yes. So instead of short little steps, try to lengthen your stride a little bit more as you go, but without going any faster. Okay. Try that. Yeah, around. Yeah. Okay. So he's too forward, or he's posting in the front. We're gonna want to bring his front. Bring his front back. More. too far. There you go. Better. Better. See, what you're doing is you're overstretching it. Try to punch him up. Look at his front. This is upper arm. See the upper arm there? From this point to this point. You don't want it straight. You want it back underneath himself. That. You want an angle here. Okay? So that's you want to bring his front back underneath him. Okay? Good. See? He's but steadier. Because his front's underneath him. He can stretch that. Okay, and what it also slows down. Yep. See, and what she's doing right there is perfect. Start off with the dog starts to act up and it's not gating or it's hopping. Immediately, and back and restart. The worst thing to do is to try to keep going. I mean, I have come all the way, if Anne's the judge there, I've come all the way here to stop, restart. So just not good enough. And again, good. Now, what I would do is try, I mean, I know you're not in so close. No, you can hold me. What I'm saying is, have the bait ready or whatnot, or maybe don't even use bait on the gate. He already knows mom has bait. Okay? So what you're doing is what happens is you're coming up towards me, and you're reaching for your bait. And you know you're reaching for your bait because he can feel and see you move. And so what he's doing is he's going from gating very nicely to looking up at you and doing this. So you're throwing him up. So I would practice with the bait outside the ring and or on your stack. But when you're moving him, don't be reaching for a bait. He's gonna think you have it anyways. And so when you're training them at home too, when you're teaching them to free bait and show off, you're gonna be using that bait at home to get their attention. And then when you go and actually do it in the ring, they're gonna think that. You don't have to use it. And then, like, again, when you're done, you've already done your exam or whatever, you're on the camera, you can do, again, pretending you have the bait. But show them you have no bait before you go. That should help. Because he's just looking up at you and he's throwing them off. Right? What I want you to do is I want you to put his lead on top of his head, between his ears. Don't put it under here, okay? Let him drop his head. Show him you have nothing in your hand. Before you go, if you have a dog that's really looking up at you a lot, you want to make sure they see you have nothing. And then, again, don't look at him when you're moving. Just go, okay? It's always a nice and easy speed. Show him you have nothing in your hand. And go, nice and easy, okay? Shouldn't run with their heads up in the air like a quarterback. Golden retrievers and don't want their heads high in the air. You want them to lower their heads level from nose to tail, and Excellent stack. Perfect. Good, good. Okay, so she's at perfect speed, and her example of a courtesy turn was textbook. I use them all the time, and I feel it helps get the dog protected and in the frame of mind of moving, and it's less abrupt of a start. If you start a dog from here to there, you gotta kind of pop them into a trot. So I like to do that nice, easy turn, and you want to make sure that you're looking at where the judge is and looking at where your end point is, and you want to because you want to go in a straight line. I've done it plenty of times before where I do a turn and I get over to the end and I realize I'm all the way over here. I didn't follow a straight line. But that courtesy turn, especially with the Siberians, they tend to want to track side by side a lot of times in here. They're not focused. And by doing that turn, it gets them a little smoother into that. The only other thing I would check her when she's looking around, she's being busy, and so you want that attention back. So when you feel her start looking, give her a pop. Okay. Big ring, you're a national, and you get cruising and flying around the ring. That there was no need to. She looked beautiful going around. Just maintain it when they feel good. Don't change it.
And the position of her elbow was really good.
Yes, yes. There you go. Good. Hold his head. Back a little bit. Back toward, yep, towards you. Far out forward, so he's wanting to move because it feels awkward. He has it underneath his withers, and he's going to be more comfortable allowing him to sit straight. You're doing just fine. Good. Good. That is rear perfect. When you set that, okay. Just his front was a little forward. Okay.
So how should I know like I'm setting the front to the right position?
Practice.
No, the tip of like looking down and
Yep,
seeing the straight leg.
What you want to do, the best thing to do. One of the best things, the question was, how do I tell my dog's front legs are in the right position and they're not too far forward and they're posting? You have to learn the feel of the dog and practice. And a great tool is go get a mirror. If you can go get one at like TJ Maxx or something, they'll have a higher mirror. You can set it up out in front of it so that you can see where the dog's front is and you can feel it. You should be able to look down from the point of the withers here, and it right through on the shoulder here, and you want it to be straight to the ground. Okay, you don't want this elbow to be in front of those shoulders. Okay, and that's the feel, and that's what you have to learn what that feels like and what it looks like. And that's just practice. You know, I many times you set it up and it'll feel okay, and then you don't feel it. So it just takes some time. Okay? Yes. Exactly. I would go a little faster. Again, you get yourself into like a trot with him. There you go. That's much better. That's perfect. Excellent. Excellent speed. You look very nice. Okay? That's what you should feel. You feel like you don't really even feel it. Just kind of glide along with it. Around. Perfect.
She has the windy face.
You got side eye.
I know I did. So, like, especially at a big dog show or a big national or a big specialty, and you've got this big open ring. After you do your down and back, and you come back to the judge and you're free baiting your dog, use the whole ring. Okay? Like, you don't want to just, you're free baiting your dog here to the judge, and now the judge says go around. Well, if you start here and go, you're cheating your dog all that extra room that you could get it moving nicely. I always come back with my dog and go. And you're using that whole ring. You get that extra couple of feet and you get your dog collected and smoothly moving around the ring before the judge's eye vision right here is like, it's angled, and so they're only going to see you going away and there. You get that whole profile of that dog going around by starting up there. And he went right to the corner and then looped around. I would stretch her rear back a little bit. She's a little underneath herself. Your side, yeah.
And then my side, no, try your side front, come forward. Just a smidge. That's good, that's better. I'm still not taking that looks better. Yeah, that looks much better. Yeah, that's okay, but that looks much better. Now, what I would do is just body language, okay? Positioning yourself in body language when you're stacking the dog. I always have my body language facing the dog. When the judge is looking down the line, it's a visual draw. So like she is right there. She has her body turned towards the dog. So as I'm looking with my eyes as a picture, I'm seeing her, and her whole body language is presenting that dog in a profile there. If you are in front of the dog, hunt like that, the dog looks really good. It's standing on its own. That looks nice, but you're hovering it over. So I would stand up. I would get closer to your dog, just like that, and I would get right here and pull down and arch your dog's neck. Yes, that looks to me a much better presentation than being down next to it or hunched in front of it. You're seeing that whole silhouette of the dog. But it's awkward, try to turn your feet towards the dog. Towards the dog. Like this. Yes, angle yourself. All your body language angled to that dog, because it's gonna flow that eye into the dog and be a more, an easier picture to look at. That looks, that. Good.
I have
No, that's okay. That was actually a really good example of using a loose lead, but having it up above her ears. You know, a lot of people think a loose lead is just dangling loose, and not all dogs can gait with the loose next to them. They'll dart, they don't have control. If you have a dog or a bitch that needs a little more control, and you've got to kind of steer them and check them, you can still use a loose lead with it up above, and you let your tension go, and the dog had her own head on her own. You weren't holding her up. So that's another way that you can give them a loose lead in different positions. Perfect speed. All right. Good.
Dogs get a little bored, and I know that we can play with the dogs and all that stuff, but what are some of your best techniques to keep them engaged?
Sometimes keeping them engaged is the wrong thing.
Okay.
Sometimes just letting them have their own free space and just hang out.
Okay.
I find that when you're constantly or you're trying to keep them in check and really work the dog, and especially in a large class, by the time it's your turn, the dog's done.
Right.
I had that happen to me today in the bred by class. I was showing my dog and working the dog, and he was a young dog, and I could tell the judge was looking at him. I was getting excited, and I kept working him, and when the judge wasn't looking, and by the time it came down to her making her picks, my dog was done, and he kept sitting, and that was my error. I kept working him too hard. I should have let him just relax while I wasn't being examined. And so that's an error, you know, and so sometimes keeping them engaged to show is better off, especially with the Siberian, letting them just kind of hang and chill.
And then proper baiting, like I know I think I overbait. Like when they're like standing, hanging out or whatever.
Sure.
Like,
well,
what is overbaiting?
Overbaiting
like
is
using your bait properly.
Okay. Using your bait, that's a great question. For me, when it becomes a distraction to the judge, okay, you can bait your dog as much as you want off in the corner doing your thing. As you know, I do it sometimes. It ends up being habit. I'm just standing there talking or whatever, and I'm baiting the dog and giving it, and that's okay. You know, just as long as it's not creating a bad habit where the dog is then always looking up at you nonstop, and then you go to stack the dog and it's fussing.
And that's what I think.
Yeah.
I overbait and
Yeah.
they start fussing.
There is absolutely nothing wrong in a large class to just be sitting there and your dog, if it, unless the judge. Now, that's another good point. Be aware of your judge. Be aware of how they're judging. Watch. Okay. This brings me to another little point that I'll make quick. Go to dog shows and watch your judges before you show. Get there a couple hours early. You have the time and the tools if you are able to do it. Go watch them judge Newfoundlands. Go watch them judge Feral Hounds. Watch how they run their ring. As an owner handler, that gives you an advantage. The professional handlers are running from ring to ring to ring, and they are busy. You as an owner handler have that edge to go to that ring, watch your judges, know how they're running the ring, know the presentation, know when to be ready. Are they looking back? You get in a group ring and you see a judge that's doing his thing, and all of a sudden he's just kind of looking back and glancing, and he's not saying anything. That's the kind of judge that then you would be being in his line of vision and just kind of freebaiting and making sure you're presenting your dog's attributes, and not having it stand there with like a German Shepherd off in the rear, and then they're noticing a fault. Or if they have a little bit of a soft top line, you don't want to be standing there, holding the dog, and the judge every time it looks off. Have your dog's best attributes ready when the judges are looking. And so, as owner and handlers, I mean, you guys have the tools to beat professional handlers. You have more time with your dogs. The handlers are with a group of dogs. They have 10 rings to do. You have one dog or two dogs. Yours should look better than every handler's dog at the dog show because you have the time. They don't. So if you're coming to the dog show and your dog is not groomed or ready, then you have work to do because they're busy. And those are those little edges that you can get to beat handlers in the ring that do a great job with their dogs. You have more time than them, and that's on your side. Okay. So again, that would go back to just being ring aware. Know what your judge is looking for. Know what they're looking at. And know when to be ready and not. And if the judge is absolutely not watching you and is just standing or is judging dogs and focused on the other dogs, or the judge says, I'm not watching, don't worry about it, relax your dogs, there's no reason to not let your dog lay on the ground. Hang out. Be relaxed. So, and then when you're baiting your dog for the judge, don't be a distraction. Don't have the bait in the hand up in their face, and they're coming to examine the dog, and the bait's in the way. You want to have the dog collected and ready for them to examine it without a distraction in the face. And then most of the times, the bait's just making the dog move as well. So I'd rather have you just steady the dog with your hands and have you do the exam, and then you can bait the neck after or in the lineup of the presentation. Okay, showing the bite. Yes. Yes. Well, and that's important too because we've been having a lot of dog flus and a lot of viruses going around, and dogs are getting sick, and the AKC is kind of promoting judges to have the exhibitors show the bite. So you need to be able to do that. You can be my student. So, when you're showing the bite, that's perfect, okay? When you're showing the bite, you don't want your hand in front, you don't want your hand around. You want to do a nice, quick, I just use my forefingers and lift the lips and use my thumb to pull down the bottom lip. So, I have my hands like this, I lift, and that. Yes, you don't, yeah, absolutely. And so when see how she's doing it? I just naturally do it without thinking it. She's lifting the dog's head in the vision of the judge. If the judge is looking at you and you have your dog's head down showing the bite, how's the judge gonna see it? They gotta bend down. Yes. Show the judges your bite. Okay.
Good.
Any other questions? Oh. Yep. Okay, determining leash placement of the dog on each dog. Really, for me, is knowing your dog's structure and anatomy. If your dog is a little straighter in front and he tends to run with his head up, you don't want the leash underneath and pulling the head up. Your dog has a very good front and naturally lowers its head, then you can give it a loose lead on the side of the body. Or if you have a dog that's distracted, such as her, and you need to have that steering power so you keep her in check and focus on where you're going. It's really knowing your dog. That's the most important of that. Yep. It gets to be a habit. It gets to be a habit. You're showing 10, 15 dogs a day, and you're primarily, say, a sporting dog handler or another breed, and you just naturally put it underneath and lift the dog's head up. It's not correct for a Siberian. We want them to have their head drop, if they can. Not all of them can. So.
Okay.
Any other questions?
All right. Thank you,
All right.
everybody. Thank you
Absolutely.
very much, Tim.
Yep.
Well done. All right. That's it for the day, everyone. Bye-bye.